coffee break with me. Woo! Hi guys! Sweet baby Jesus, have I had one of the hardest week and a half, almost 2 weeks of motherhood. If you guys follow me on Instagram, if you don't, you should. Oh my Lord, like I don't know if you've noticed that some of my uploads have been inconsistent. You know, I'll post one and then I'll take a day or two off or whatever. Usually I pre-record my videos and I schedule them to go live. But what happens is I try to separate them. So one day I'll record a tutorial and a couple of reviews and this, and so I try to separate them. So if I don't keep filming, there are certain times where I have a gap, and that's totally what has happened now, because my son, Tater Tot, he's turning 2 next week, and he's just been sick. We made it to 18 months. Oh, by the way, this is probably a long introduction, so I'm sorry. Fast forward, read the description bar to when to start the actual part of the video. And so he made it to 18 months without ever getting sick. And when he got to 18 months, he was ill, but it was a virus, kind of like one of those kid virus things. You can't really do anything about it. So then he got over it in like 48 hours. This time, second time he gets sick, and he is making it count. So needless to say, I have cried, I have lost sleep, I have lost weight, more weight, yeah. You know, I've been very worried. It's just been really frustrating. And just heart-wrenching to see your child go through so much pain and having to take them to the hospital so many times, you know? So it's been a hot minute. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not apologizing for being a mom. That's not something I would ever apologize for. I'm just saying I'm sorry that I've missed you and that I've been a little inconsistent. You guys know that's really not my thing. Unless life happens, then that's what happens. So sorry. This video is so long overdue. I swear to God, you guys, I have been trying to do Concealer 101 forever. I mean, ever since I started my channel. You guys know I have a lot of Makeup 101 videos on here about your makeup kit, you know, what kind of stuff you need to have, Blush 101, things like that. So I want to eventually get through most of the categories like Foundation 101 and Highlighting 101 and Bronzer 101, stuff like that. But this one is very near and dear to my heart, and so I just didn't want to throw a bunch of information at you guys without actually doing my homework. Especially because you guys know I am like Queen Panda of panda disease, which is why I'm not wearing makeup today. I want to show you guys kind of what I do to hide a little bit of my pandaness. Like days like today's a Monday. You probably won't see this on a Monday, I don't know. Today's a Monday, it's my no makeup Monday. I'm a stay-at-home mom. It's no makeup most of the time, just a little BB cream here or there, but I'm not embarrassed of having dark circles. Most of the time dark circles are hereditary. There's really nothing you can do. There's no cure for under eye darkness, but there are certain things that you could do to kind of hide them a little bit better. I have tried, I want to say at least 50 different concealers, and I haven't been very impressed. You know, I like certain concealers, obviously, because that's what I use, but there has never been a concealer where I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna punch my mama, this concealer is the bomb.com, you know? I haven't found a concealer like that. I have my 2 favorites that I always reach for, and then I have like 15 others that I kind of like, but I haven't found one, and I didn't want to do this video unless I had found the concealer, but I thought I'm just gonna keep wasting time. You know, I'm just gonna keep buying more concealers, and I'm not gonna find a concealer that I'm like, whoa, my God. I guess I just have really high expectations. Baby Godzilla, you hear him? I guess I just have unrealistic expectations, you know? With motherhood, your face changes, your skin changes with the weather, your skin changes with your stress and your emotions, your skin changes with age, you know, with your genetics. I mean, it's just so many reasons why your face is just going to continuously change, and you just have to adapt with it. So I'm just going to share with you guys things that I've learned, things that help me, and please keep in mind, I am not a makeup artist. I am not professionally trained. I have regular to I have regular to combination skin, and I hate to say that because it's kind of weird. My skin is normal. It's not extra oily. My eye area tends to be a little dry, and around my mouth as well, and my chin. But then like my cheekbone area and the middle, just the really tiny center of my forehead sometimes gets a little shiny. So I'm all over the place. But this is just kind of stuff that's worked out for me. I'm just sharing my personal tips and feedback, so I really hope you'll enjoy it. And if you want to see tools that I use, my favorite concealers, reasons for dark eye pandaness, please keep watching. Okay, so living with dark under eyes can be a little annoying, to say the least, because even when you want to have a no makeup day, it's still a little hard making yourself not look so scary. I always say that I have really dark under eye circles, but I know that they're not as bad. It's kind of like my own joke with myself. I know that there are other people that suffer from a lot more under eye darkness or even puffiness, but they're dark enough for me to want to do something about it. So you guys know that's the whole point of makeup. Makeup isn't to change you or to only make you feel better when you're wearing it. Makeup is just to make you feel a little bit better, to, you know, find the best version of yourself. So I don't know, I became passionate about concealer. Me specifically, I just have this inner corner that's like really dark, so it makes my eyes look a little sunken. There are other people that have like puffy eyes. I mean, there's just a ton of issues with the eye area. You guys know I have like my flaky snake skin, lizard skin eyelids. What can you do to fix the problem? Now, this video is not about puffiness. This video is just about dark under eye circles. So that's all I'm gonna talk about in this video with this long introduction. If you are looking for a concealer, you want to remember two things. Do not get confused by a lot of the videos you guys see here on YouTube. Most of the girls on YouTube use concealers to highlight. If you've ever noticed, a lot of these girls, when they do the massive the massive backwards triangle, or the big what are they called? Or the big line across the forehead, down the center of the nose, all over the chin with concealer, that's one way you can use concealer, and that's for highlighting. The real reason for a concealer is to conceal. So again, there are two types of concealers. There's one to conceal, and then there's one to highlight. If you are looking to conceal the under eye darkness from your eyes or down here, you want to get a concealer that has orange undertones, like salmon colored, because salmon will hide the blue and the purple of your under eye circles. So if you're going to conceal or correct your under eye area, reach for a concealer that is orange or salmon in color to hide the blue and the purple. If you want to get the J-Lo, Kim Kardashian highlighting effect, you can still do that, but you have to hide the blue or the purple first, or the only thing you're going to do is highlight the blue in your under eyes and make them even more apparent or visible. Welcome to my face. So I brought you guys in closer just to kind of show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. The corrector that I've heard talked about the most is the Bobbi Brown corrector. It comes in several shades. I personally tried it and I didn't like it, but most people love it, so it might be something that you want to reach for. Again, a correcting concealer is only to hide the blue or the purple in your under eye. It is not to highlight. It's not to give you that Kim Kardashian glow. I, as a corrector, love to use the Dermablend Smooth Indulgence Concealer. This is not a correcting concealer. So this is not a correcting concealer. It's just orange enough to hide the blue and the purples that I have hiding in this dark corner of my soul. Just kidding. The dark inner corners of my eyes. So I like to use this one. It does have sunscreen, which helps me or makes me feel a little better, but it is not a correcting concealer. Another concealer that I like to use sometimes in the colder months is by Eve Pearl, and they don't sell Eve Pearl in the United States unless you order it online and then they ship it to you internationally, or twice a year they have it on Hot Look, that discount website. And you guys can see the color of the concealer. it's a little bit more orange. And so you kind of put it on and you're like, well, this is just making me look orange now. But once you blend it out with the proper tools and your foundation, which I'll show you in a bit, it definitely covers the purple. And so you really want that. Another option is you don't have to look for a concealer that's titled Corrector. You can find a concealer that's just a little bit more orange. For example, I like MAC's Studio Finish Concealer in NW25. It's just orange enough to correct that, like the blue undertones. If you're really on a budget, I found one that works really well as a corrector, and surprisingly, it's from Jane. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Jane Cosmetics. Their eyeliners are amazing, but when I tried this concealer, I was like, it's so dark and orange, and it's in the color light. What am I supposed to do with this? Because you automatically think, a concealer needs to be 1 to 2 shades lighter than your skin tone. That's not true. A concealer that you want to use as a highlighter is 1 to 2 shades lighter. Concealer that you want to use to actually conceal or to cover up dark circles has to have an orange tone to it, a salmon color to it. Otherwise, it's just going to brighten the darkness that's there. And so you're like, hey everyone, look at my dark under eye circles. Now they're really pretty and bright. And I don't think that's what you want. So this is actually a really good option, and I think it's like $4. I don't know, don't quote me, but Jane is always on sale at Ulta, and they sell it at Kohl's now, so it might be something worth trying. Another option that you can do is you can get a concealer that comes in a set. MAC has concealer palettes, and so does Sonia Kashuk at Target. So they sell these kind of palettes that have your brightening concealer or your highlighting concealer, and they have your correcting concealer. This one even comes with a powder. I actually got this last night. I knew I wanted to film this video soon, so I got it last night, and you guys can tell. It has an orange concealer to hide like dark under eye circles. It has a brightening concealer down here in the corner, and then it has this one that has more of like a yellow barfy green color, and that is to hide redness. So this palette comes with everything. I can't give you my opinion on the quality or if this works, but I have heard people love it. So I haven't tried it myself. I got it last night. I can't wait to use it because it's always nice to have everything in one place like this. So let's say that you don't have a problem with panda eyes, but you do have a problem with blemishes, you have a problem with Harry Potter scars like I do from my curling wand. You guys, this is not going away. This is terrible. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Laser it off or something. But if you have problems with blemishes, or you have discoloration where like you have areas of your face where they're a lot whiter, and then there's areas where they're like really red and whatever, you have freckles that you don't like, even though I love freckles, and you want to cover your freckles, whatever. You want to use a drier concealer, not so dry that if you have dry skin, it'll cling to your dry patches. No, by drier, I mean viscosity. We talked about viscosity in my Beauty Blender 101 video, and that is thickness or thinness. So if you want to go for a thicker, more drier concealer, that is good for areas like this that you want to cover. For example, a concealer, you guys, don't roll your eyes. This is a really fancy concealer, and I never even use it. This is the concealer, just the basic concealer from YSL. It comes like this, but it comes in a stick form. So you can apply some kind of stick concealer, which is a lot easier to your blemishes before you apply your foundation. A really good one is the Smooth Operator by Tarte. It comes in a little stick like this. And this guy lasts all day long. It's really good, except I never got my right color, and this is just really fair for me, but it's really good. I still use it. I'll still use it when I look like Casper. And another really good drugstore favorite only for blemishes or for scars that I want to cover is the L'Oreal True Match Crayon. Would not recommend any type of crayon for your under eye area. I have not had good luck with any of them, and you guys know I don't have problematic skin. If you guys like crayons for your under eye, that's amazing, but they just don't really work for me, and I feel like I've wasted my time a lot. I just tried the new one by CoverGirl. I hated it. I like this one more, and I don't really like this one that much. So again, thicker viscosity crayon type concealers are really good for scarring, redness around the nose, blemishes around your face. stuff like that. Now, if you are ready to go into Lil' Kim Kardashian highlighting mode and you want to look fly as hell, that is when you start to use your highlighting concealers. These are concealers not to hide, these are concealers to emphasize. So think like your pen type concealers or your kind of more liquidy type concealers. My favorite one of all freaking time is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. It comes like this in a little pump. This is really good for highlighting your entire face because one pump will seriously cover your entire face. So you don't want to waste it. This concealer though would be good if you get it in your exact shade. It would be good for hiding under eye circles as well. But I especially like it for highlighting my face because it actually dries. The concealers that are really, really good for highlighting are the ones I said that come in like pen form. So think about like the L'Oreal Magic Lumi that comes like this, or the Maybelline Dream Touch. I love using these click pens to highlight certain areas of my face. They are amazing. So again, there are so many different types of concealers. Do you want to conceal and correct, or do you want to highlight, or do you want to do both? Do you have under eye darkness? Do you have blemishes? What is your main concern? And that's how you can decide which concealer to buy and how to apply it. So let's say that we are ready to properly apply a concealer. Now, if you were in my scenario where you wanted to cover dark under eye circles, the best way that I've found that works is I apply the correcting concealer first, only in the darkest area, just a tiny bit. Then I apply my foundation, and then I apply the highlighting concealer. I try to leave the darkest area of my eyes alone. I try not to fuss with them too much because you will notice with time, the more you touch that area, it's just as sensitive as your lips. It's gonna get affected more. So the more you play with it, the darker it's gonna get. So if you want to properly apply concealer for, let's say, a really important function or something, you also want to set it. Just like you set your foundation or dry it, you also want to set it. And the powders that I found work the best are powders with a tiny bit of reflective particles. It looks a little bit like shimmer, but it's really not shimmer or glitter. And my two favorite for that, the first one is the NARS translucent crystal it has like 15 words in the name, but it's the NARS translucent crystal. It comes in loose form like this, and it also comes in the pressed form. I didn't personally like the pressed form, but that's another video. So I really like this. This sets it really, really well. And it has those light reflecting particles. So instead of drawing attention to the darkness of your face, it's gonna push the light out and they won't be so obvious. So that one I really, really like. And then the other one that I use quite often that I can't find at the moment is a pro powder from MAC called Emphasize. And again, it's a white pressed powder that if you look at it a little bit carefully, it has a tiny bit of shimmer. But again, these are particles to reflect light, not necessarily to make you look like a hooker. You know what I mean? So again, this is a pro powder, so you can only get it at a pro store, like a freestanding MAC store. And I think it only comes like this. I don't think it comes in a compact. So again, this is called Emphasize. And these are my two favorites to set my under eye concealer. But please stay tuned to the very end because I do have a really important tip to share with you guys about setting your concealer, because it might be doing more harm than actually helping. So please make sure you watch to the very end. I know this is gonna be a long video, but it's worth it. So you apply your correcting concealer, your foundation, then your highlighting concealer, and then you set your face and you set your under eye. And that should be it. That should make your concealer last. There are under eye primers. How many products do we really need for our beautiful faces? I've tried, I think 2, and I don't really think they make a difference. They don't make it worse, but I don't think they're worth the money, and I don't think they make a difference. So keep that in mind. I would suggest an under eye primer only for people that have really, 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 really dry under eyes, like really like severe problems with dryness, because most of them are hydrating. So that might help you guys. But other than that, I really think it's a big waste of time, but that's just my thought. So once you have all your items, I guess, ready to go, you're highlighting, you're correcting, you're setting powder, what do you apply it with? You guys know how I feel about my beauty blender or my cosmetic sponges. I am completely obsessed, in love with, I will saute-er for a beauty blender. Okay, maybe not that much, but maybe I will. No. So I do love my beauty blender, especially the pointy side to kind of pack in the concealer. It just applies it so smoothly. But I also love my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. Down below, I'm going to put some really important videos that I think you guys might be interested in watching after this. So make sure you guys check the description box. But I love both of these for under eye concealer. They are my favorite. But you can also use a really soft blending brush. Try to avoid touching your under eye as much as possible. The more you touch it, the more sensitive it gets, the more blood that rushes to that area, and the darker it will get. I'm not sure that's what we want. We're trying to avoid the darkness, so as little as you can touch it, the better. So if you have a really soft blending brush, like this one from Real Techniques, it's the base shadow brush, to kind of just soften out your concealer, you might like using it. So that is a good, so that's a good tool that you may want to add to your concealer routine. Besides a sponge, you could use a brush. And then once you've applied everything, in order to set your under eye, you're not going to use your big giant powder brush under your eye, because again, you don't want to cause any additional friction or harm to that area. You can use a brush like this one by Real Techniques. It's a setting brush. So you can tell it just looks like a really giant blending brush. You can use that to set your under eye really gently. You don't rub back and forth like if you were blending. You kind of pat it in. And then I also have this one that I've been liking. This is a foundation brush from Soho, and they sell these brushes at Walgreens. And again, you just kind of pat in the powder. So I think it's time for me to show you how I do it, and then we can talk about why we get under eye circles and what we can do to prevent them. Welcome to my face. Are you guys ready to conceal the pandaness? So today I'm going to show you guys how to correct with Benefit's Erase Paste. This is a concealer type that is supposed to camouflage dark circles and brighten them. So although it is kind of a salmon shade, it has a little bit of a pink tone to it. And so the pink is supposed to distract from the darkness. I don't know how it works. The girl at Ulta explained it to me, and I like it. But I would probably only use this during the colder months when my skin is a little bit extra dry, or a little bit dry, period, because it's really creamy. But it's really good, actually. I had it for like a month without even touching it, because I was like, what am I gonna do with this paste? But it's actually pretty good. It's really soft, but it works really well. So it comes with a little spatula you can use. Again, I like to use my my ring finger, and I just take a tiny bit of product and I pat it into the darkest areas of my under eye. And I try to touch as little as possible. The reason I like to use my finger, even though they don't recommend that you touch your under eye as much as you can, is because you warm it up with your fingertip, and the warmer it gets, the softer it gets, so it blends a lot easier. So you see what I'm doing? I'm being really super gentle. And this isn't something that you want to do in a hurry. You guys, once your eyes and your lips get wrinkled, there is no going back. You can always shoot yourself up with Botox on your forehead and look like you're 16, but it's never the same for your eyes or your lips. Remember, your eyes and your lips are the thinnest, most delicate skin on your face. So you want to treat it with care. You want to be extra, extra careful. And I'm just applying this to the darkest areas of my under eye. I'm not pushing in gently. I'm basically just kind of bumping my finger back and forth really gently. And I normally don't take this long. I'm just doing it over and over so that you guys can see how to do it. And look at the difference between my eyes. Can you tell? So this side just looks brighter. Automatically, like I could leave the house right now with the clean face and just a little bit of this and it looks so much brighter. Look at this eye. It seriously looks like it looks like I was up all night watching like Teen Mom crying, eating ice cream all night, doesn't it? So that is my corrector. This is what I'm gonna use to correct the blue in my under eyes. After I do this, I do my foundation and then I apply my highlighting concealer. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this eye and show you one more time how to do it. Again, as gentle as possible. You just take a tiny bit on the tip of your ring finger, like this. You guys see just how tiny bit there is there? And then go patting it in really gently. So look at the difference. It just looks brighter, not so dark. A lot of times under eye circles age us. So even though you could be a certain age, it makes you look a lot more older. So just taking that extra time to find that one product that will brighten up your face, but also cover the darkness is definitely a really good investment. I know it might feel like a lot of waste of time, especially for me trying so many concealers, but it makes a really big difference. I'm gonna apply my foundation and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and applied my foundation. I did a really light coverage foundation and I blended it in as good as possible so that you guys could still see a little bit of my blemishes. So if you can tell, I have a blemish here, and I know the lighting may kind of wash it out, but I do have a big giant blemish here. I have a giant one here. I have my Harry Potter battle wound up here on my forehead. And then I have a little bit of, not hyperpigmentation, just a little bit of redness, but everyone has redness in this area. So if those areas really bother you and you want to conceal them, this is how you do it. Normally, this stuff, I leave it alone. I mean, it's there, whatever. Most people get breakouts. Most people, well, not most people burn their forehead. You know, most people they don't have flawless skin. So I don't bother, I don't take the time to do this much coverage, but this is a concealer 101, so I want to show you guys the ropes. So take a crayon stick concealer close to your skin tone or a tiny bit lighter. I wouldn't go way too light or way too dark because it will be obvious. As close to your skin tone as possible. This is the L'Oreal True Match Crayon in W123. And I'm going to put this in right here on the blemish I have next to my lip, and you can see where I'm applying it. You can see it looks white. And then apply it on this blemish. And I'm gonna put a little bit in this area right here, a little bit right here, and my Harry Potter scar. And then taking your damp beauty blender or whatever you're using to apply your foundation, maybe a buffing brush, really gently, you're gonna push in the sponge and then drag it just a little bit, because all you're doing, you don't wanna remove the concealer, you just wanna soften the concealer so that it doesn't look where it starts and where it begins. You just kind of want it to blend into your skin. So I'm like patting and sliding at the same time. A lot of times, if you don't have a really good technique at applying concealer, what can happen is you just make it look a lot worse than it is. It looks way covered up instead of just looking, you know, normal and graceful. So, I don't know how clear they were before, but they look covered up now. And this one, I always have issues covering it just because it's so dark. But I do the best I can if I'm going somewhere important or I know I'm going to get my picture taken, because it's just so embarrassing. I don't know what I'm going to do with my Harry Potter scar. So that's how you would cover a blemish. You could do it before your foundation and then apply your foundation. And then if you still need it, do a second layer. But you guys know, the more you apply, the more obvious it is. So you want to be really, really careful. This is how I would recommend you doing it, so it doesn't look cakey and it still looks natural. So I corrected my under eye, I covered blemishes, and I'm wearing foundation. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I highlight with concealer. A really popular concealer that's used to highlighting on YouTube is the Age Rewind Dark Circle Eraser. As an actual dark circle eraser, this is worthless. It does not work. As a highlighter, it is really good. So this is a really good one to use. I don't know which one you guys want me to use. I usually use the MAC Pro Longwear or my Maybelline Dream Lumi pen. I really love this pen. I have like 2 backups in a drawer. I go through this really quick. I really, really, really like it. Did I mention I really like it? So I'm going to, let's see, I'll show you guys how to do the backwards triangle, and then I'm also going to show you guys how to highlight your face. So if you guys are going to do the backwards triangle, it's very, very simple, self-explanatory. You take whatever concealer you're using and you're going to apply it in your under eye area. You want to go down to where your nose is and then up to your temple. This whole area right here, and that's just going to bring light into your face. And it just makes you look better, happier, brighter, glowier. So if you guys can see, I'm just applying the concealer in kind of like a backwards triangle. You don't want to rub. I'm just patting it in. If you rub, you're going to take off a lot of your foundation. Should you do this every day? Absolutely not. I swear, some of the makeup looks that I wish I could create just take way too much time, and this is unrealistic. So you could do something like this, but not as complicated. Just put on some corrector and your foundation and you're out the door. Don't worry about highlighting and contouring and bronzer and all that stuff. Keep it simple, you guys. Natural beauty is the best beauty. So this is a really in-depth how-to 101 type video, but I don't do this every day. I do apply both types of concealers, but I don't do this every day. And then just take your beauty blender, your beauty sponge, whatever brush you're using, and you just pat it in gently, as quickly and as with as few steps as possible, because remember, we don't want to touch this area more than we need to. Make sure you always get the inner corner and then all the way out to your temples. Just like that. Now you're going to take your highlighting pen, and this is another way of doing it. I know I'm repetitive, but that's just the teacher in me. You don't have to do all these steps. So in a day-to-day, like a day-to-day basis, what would I have done? I would have applied my erase paste, I would have done my foundation, and then I would have put a tiny bit of the Age Rewind in this area. A tiny bit, just to brighten, that's it. And then my powder, and I'm out the door. On a day where I'm going to town and I really want to highlight and bronze and do all this stuff, then I do the triangle and then I do this. And this is, again, a highlighting pen. I basically do a couple of stripes. Imagine if there was like a line down the center of your forehead, the center of your nose, and down the center of your lip, and then the middle part of your chin. That's the first step. Then you do a little bit in this area here. And then a little bit here to kind of make your eyebrows look raised. And again, before it dries, you really quickly blend it in with your beauty sponge or your cosmetic sponge or your brush, whatever you're using. And that's how you apply concealer to correct, to highlight, and to emphasize. After you've done all those steps, you obviously want to set it. And the reason you want to set it is to dry it so that it doesn't crease. Now, Again, if you are doing your everyday makeup routine, I wouldn't recommend setting your under eye concealer because prolonged use of powder in your under eye area will give you wrinkles. So I want to do something today that is going to prevent me from looking bad in the future. So if today I'm going to cover my dark circles, but my concealer may crease a tiny bit because I blink, that's fine. But I'm not going to go through the trouble of setting it every single day because in 10 years, I'm gonna look 15 years older than the age I actually am. So always keep that in mind. Now, you do want to set your concealer if you're going to go somewhere important or you want your concealer to last all day and you don't want it to move around. Again, I told you guys you want to use a powder like the MAC Emphasize or NARS Translucent Crystal Light Reflecting powder. And usually I actually set my under eye with either a foundation brush like this, like a paddle brush, or the Real Techniques setting brush like this one. These are my two favorites. I always use these all the time when I'm gonna film. But on a day-to-day basis, again, you guys, my secret, I don't set my under eye concealer. So today I'm gonna use the NARS Reflecting blah 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 powder, and I'm going to use my Real Techniques setting brush. And the thing I like to do every single time that I set my concealer is I take my sponge one last time and kind of take any additional product. Like if I use too much, it's obviously going to settle into the fine lines. So I take my sponge just one last time and kind of pat it in and smooth everything out, and then immediately thereafter I set it. So I take just a tiny bit of the powder, and again, you don't rub it. This is an eyeshadow. You're not doing windshield wiper motions. You just kind of pat it. Look up so that it doesn't crease anymore, and then just set it. And you're going to set anywhere you put concealer if you want it to look brighter. If not, just set your under eye for brightness. Just set your under eye for brightness and then apply your face powder everywhere else. But I do like, you guys know how I feel about my bright Kim Kardashian face. So I like to use the same powder that I use in my under eye. I like to use it anywhere else I applied a highlighting concealer. So there, I set my under eye, and then I'm gonna take that same powder and I'm gonna swipe a little bit on my chin, my cupid's bow, bridge of my nose, and the center of my forehead. Ooh, went a little cray there, huh? And then just use your regular face powder everywhere else, which would basically just be in this area. Okay, so I finished my makeup, so I won't scare you any much longer. Totally kidding. I love my naked face. But you guys can see. So I didn't use any bronzer today on purpose so that it wouldn't look like I was faking the highlight. You guys saw where I put the concealer at the center of my forehead, down the center of my face, and then that upside down triangle. But you can also see the inner corners of my eyes are pretty much concealed. I did set with the powder. You guys saw me do that. And this is kind of my full face when it comes to base products. So if I'm gonna do a concealer and I really want it to last and I really want to cover the panda disease, I'm gonna do a corrector, then my foundation, then a highlighting concealer, and then set everything with the powder. That's just what I'm gonna do if it's gonna be like a hardcore, I want everything to stay in place kind of day. On a day-to-day basis, I don't do all that craziness. I basically just do the corrector and then my naked face or BB cream or whatever. If it's gonna be a light makeup day, then I'll do the corrector, my foundation, and a tiny bit of brightening concealer just in this area. So I don't pull it all the way down. I basically just do it here. But I wanted to show you guys just in case, you know, you really wanted that. You wanted to learn kind of the ropes of how I do my concealer, usually when I'm gonna film or if I have like a date night or something special going on. Now let's talk a little bit about why you get under eye darkness. Most of the time, like 99% of the time, it's genetics. If your mom has it, your grandma has it, your aunt had it, whatever. If dark circles run in the family, that's probably why you have them. There's really not much you can do to prevent them, but there is, you know, concealer and stuff that you could do. There are other things that you could do to lessen the darkness. But again, if you are of more mature age, they can get darker. If you are stressed out, if you're doing finals, if you know, are going through a breakup, they get darker. If you don't drink enough water, they get darker and like darker and drier, so they look even darker. If you don't sleep enough, if you have poor nutrition, you don't feed yourself properly with the right vitamins and minerals, then yeah, they're definitely gonna get really, really dark. My biggest reason for darkness is because I don't sleep very much, just because of my toddler. Every day-to-day stress, you know, just in life, when you get to a certain age where you're a mom and a wife and you own a house and all that stuff, just regular every day-to-day stress. And I don't drink water. I don't. I'm really bad at drinking water. One of my goals this year is to drink more water, and I really enjoy water with like Crystal Light, but that's another video. But I'm not a big water drinker, so those are my biggest issues why I suffer from panda disease. So think about it. Are any of these factors the reason why you have dark circles? So maybe you could help. And certain things that you can do to improve your under eye darkness. It's not gonna go away completely, but trust me, if you do these things, it'll make a big difference. There are times where I do certain things and they just get really dark. Like no amount of concealer will help. If you rub your eyes. Do you guys do that when you're trying to fall asleep at night and you just rub your eyes to kind of like lull yourselves to sleep? Never rub your eyes. It's like the worst thing you can do. I love to rub my eyes, but it's so bad for you. So don't rub your eyes. Do not sleep on your side or on your stomach. Sleep on your back. That will not only prevent wrinkles, but it will also prevent darkness. So the blood isn't gonna be rushing to your face. It's not gonna be so dark. So don't sleep on your side or your stomach, sleep on your back. You can also take supplements. Vitamin E and biotin help with skin, hair, nails, and eating foods with a lot of antioxidants or foods that will promote heart health, the circulatory system, get that blood flowing, and it will remove all that blood from just sitting in your under eye area. So maybe a brisk walk, a little bit of light exercise, believe it or not, but all of those things do help with under eye darkness. I already said drink water. Of course, you have to drink water. You guys, I keep looking down because I took notes. Remember I told you I had like this notebook full of notes for Concealer 101? I do have notes. And I want to make sure I tell you everything that I wrote down. So always drink a lot of water, you know, take supplements if you can, do a little bit of brisk walking or exercise, even if it's during work, go up and down the stairs a couple times to get that blood flowing. If you eat foods that are bright in red, vegetables or fruits that are bright in red, like pomegranate, strawberries, raspberries, cranberries, red bell pepper, red cabbage, any type of really deep red vegetables or fruits will promote antioxidants, improve the oxygenation in your system, and help remove some of that darkness from your under eyes. And of course, my biggest recommendation is to relax. Take some time out of your day where you sit down and you relax. And by relax, I mean do not think, do not text, do not check your phone, do not do anything. You just simply sit on the couch, slump your shoulders, and just sit. Even if it's 10 minutes. You guys, I guarantee, I just drooled all over myself. I guarantee you will notice a dramatic change in not only how you feel, but also in how tired or how dark your under eyes look. So those are my biggest tips. You guys remember, I am not a makeup artist. I was not trained in this. This is just what I have learned from experience. And I love to share the information that I know with you guys. So all of the information that I discussed will be down in the description box. It's gonna be a long description box, so take some time to read it and remember it. Remember concealers, there's correcting concealers, there's brightening concealers. So it's a lot more involved than you think. I remember when I was barely getting into makeup, I was like, I don't know, maybe 18 or 19, and I had just gotten paid, and I said, I'm gonna get the best concealer I can find because I'm tired of having ojeras, or under eye circles. And the guy that helped me at Lancome was like, you always want a concealer that is 2 shades lighter. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And it makes sense for the general population. You want a concealer that's 2 shades lighter to brighten your face. But if you have an issue that's already there, you want to combat the issue first and then highlight your face. So I was using the wrong concealer for a really long time, and I was just accentuating the darkness in my under eye. So although it does require an additional step, keep in mind to correct first and then to highlight. I really hope you found this video beneficial. Please let me know by giving me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'm sorry for the length of this video, but I really wanted to give you good quality information that would help you. And always remember, less is more. Putting on more concealer does not hide that darkness. Less is more. Keep that in mind. I really love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your understanding and your patience all the time. Thank you for your positivity. I don't thank you enough. And I think that's it. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, this coffee break is over. Bye, guys.